Welcome to Straight from the Horse's Mouth, where we cut the BS and give you the truth all about sports. Once again, I am Bryce Oden, host for Bryce Davis.
What's good?
It's official. The Rockets just been eliminated by the Warriors. So the second round is set.
First game was played today.
Obviously, the Pacers knocked off the Cavs. But let's go ahead and just kind of discuss today. Just recap the first round. Talk about the first round. As far as, the teams that didn't make it and what their future kind of looks like.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and give it the Rockets.
Yeah.
A lot to take away from this season, right? Kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Becoming the second seed. I don't think anybody expected them to do that,
Especially even though the second or third year.
This is the second season.
Yeah, second season, yeah.
So, technically, based on the expectations coming into the season and based on just their trajectory, this technically, even though they aren't making it to the second round, what's a success?
A successful season, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And the Warriors were a deceptive 7 seed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're talking about a Warriors team.
We're talking about at the end of the season, everybody was hovering around 50 games, and a couple losses knocked you all the way down.
Right. And they were one of the best teams post-trade deadline if they gave Jimmy Butler. This is – so, if all things were equal, there's a chance where if this was the Warriors team from the very beginning, they're probably not a 7 seed team.
Right.
And you're probably not seeing them. You know what I mean? So, but what are your thoughts on the Rockets and where they go from here?
Yeah, for where they go from here, it's time now to decide what young guys stay and what guys go. I think Şengün stays. I think Amin Thompson stays. Jabari Smith Jr. Showed me a lot where I'm like, he's a good piece to have. Your guard situation, that's gotta be solidified now. Jalen Green, pack your bags, buddy.
Yeah,
you're going somewhere else. Yeah. I don't know where, but you're going somewhere else.
He has to go because he's probably the most. He's the only guy on the team I think that teams think like, okay, if we get him, and maybe we can do something with him. Yeah, because he got high draft pick status, right? So I think any trade would involve him, right? A lot of teams that have been linked to Houston are the Suns with Kevin Durant. Yep. The Bucks, let's get into them. Yep. With Giannis. So they have enough pieces, and they got guys on the bench who were lottery picks who aren't playing. Right. Reed Shepherd, Cam Whitmore. So they got options, right? But definitely, like you stated, there are guys. I would go with Tari Eason over Jabari Smith Jr. Okay. But they got guys that can flip now. Yeah. And that's been my rule of thumb. I'm sick of all these teams drafting. Yep. At some point, some of these young ogies, it's time to bring some veterans in. It's time to start winning. It's winning time. You made your playoff run. You won 50 games. You got the coach. Yep. You got the supporting cast. Now go get the start. Because they often show during this Warriors series, their offense was nasty during the regular season. But the regular season, you get away with it. You're a younger team. Yep. You know what I'm saying? They're a good defensive team. Yep. Teams aren't really honing in on you on a night-to-night basis. Yep. Because they got games.
Yeah. I got to play somebody else in 2 days.
Yeah, right. So you can sneak some wins in or here, stuff like that. But in the postseason stuff like this, they did come back technically.
Yeah, they won. They
were down 3-1.
They brought it to a 7-game series. But I think they show their offensive limits in this series. Right. No outside scoring really, unless somebody was hot. And sloppy playmaking from everybody.
Everybody,
involved. Yeah. So that should be their number one goal, in my opinion, is either find a true scorer beyond Jalen Green or someone who can play make as well. Like that has to get addressed because you're not going anywhere if you can't. These turnovers and for them specifically were disgusting.
Right. But I definitely think that they're an interesting team because if they get the right guy with the supporting cast already built into place, they could do some damage next year.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? They can definitely go deeper than what they are now.
Yeah, if they truly were the team they were supposed to be, they would have knocked the Warriors off and they would give Minnesota a run for their money. Because what Rudy Gobert did, which we'll get to, that doesn't happen.
No, that's not happening against Houston.
Against Houston.
Not at all. In fact, let's get into that.
Yeah.
Right. The Lakers got knocked out.
Lakers in 5, baby.
Lakers in 5.
Lakers in 5. It wasn't a win.
It was a win. But the Lakers were in 5. They were just done.
Yeah.
So right, we were correct.
It was close. Everyone was close.
Right. It was weird this series is weird because one, I honestly did not think that the Timberwolves had enough to overtake LeBron and Luka.
Yeah.
I thought the fact that one team got LeBron and Luka and the other team just had Anthony Edwards, that would be enough to get them up out of here. I didn't take into consideration.
But LeBron's age, honestly, you got to say it.
LeBron's age, which I didn't take into consideration.
Luka's fit with the team still.
Luka's fit with the team still. J.J. Redick's inexperienced coaching in the playoffs. Julius Randle
deciding he wants to be a playoff performer.
Yeah,
and just the fact that the Lakers didn't have a big. So when you needed to stop Rudy Gobert, you really didn't have a guy you could turn to and just be like, hey, just do something.
And not for nothing. And even though the Rockets got eliminated, so technically it's going to sound weird what I'm about to say because the Warriors overcame this. But something that I don't think any of us anticipated that has played a huge factor in this first round was there's physicality that we've become accustomed to because it's playoff basketball. Yeah. But then that's what we're seeing even more on top of that this season that I think has played a factor in some of these playoff games, right? Yeah. The fact that Minnesota and Houston and some of these other teams were allowed to be more Detroit, allowed to be more physical than usual, I think played a factor, right?
Definitely against the Lakers. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because now you small, and we can kind of bump you.
Well, you small, you know what I mean? but we can match you almost guy for guy. We can put a body on Luka. We can put a body on LeBron.
Yeah. But touch them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We can really get up in you.
Yeah.
Which really hurt Austin Reeves in this series.
Right.
Like he was not ready for that type of physicality
at all. I'm definitely surprised, especially that Game 7, because Anthony Edwards did not play well.
No,
he did not play well.
The Rudy Gobert game.
Rudy Gobert played well. McDaniels played well. Like they just kind of had it going, and I'm thoroughly impressed with what Minnesota did, especially how the season started.
Yeah,
with getting trading Karl-Anthony Towns.
Yeah, bringing in Dante DiVincenzo
and Julius Randle at the 12th hour. It felt like when you make a move like that. It felt, especially coming out of the Western Conference Finals like they did last year, it feels like a move that makes you kind of go we're punting on this season.
Yeah.
But the fact they're advancing.
Yeah.
With a strong chance to get to the Western Conference Finals again.
Yeah.
I think if you're Minnesota, that's a win.
Yeah, 100%. Like we're gonna save money by not paying Cat this upcoming season.
Right.
And we still potentially can make it to the Western Conference Finals. We won this trade.
Yes.
Or you could say it was a even trade.
It was even. Yeah, you could definitely say it was an even trade.
Yeah.
The Lakers, again, LeBron's another year older.
Yep.
They still got to get bigs. What do you think the Lakers' approach would be to this offseason?
Their approach is going to be to bring as much of this team back as they can.
Right.
That's what I know it's going to be. But it needs to be to build a team for Luka. That's what it needs to be. At this point in time, I can't worry about LeBron's wants and needs. It needs to be. We have Luka Doncic now. What did Dallas have? Yeah, let's do that. I don't think they will do that. Just because you don't kick you don't kick a superstar like LeBron to the curb, unfortunately. But they probably need to if they're serious about being contenders.
I wouldn't kick LeBron to the curb, but I would definitely bounce back off your point. You can't, like you said, his opinion no longer matters to me.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It no longer matters to me. I'm building a team for Luka.
Yeah.
Right? Luka don't want to play no defense. He got exposed about that.
Yep.
So we gotta get more
3 and D guys. 3 and D guys.
More, more a lot of and technically, I mean, you can make an argument they got that.
Yeah.
With Finney Smith, where but like Jared Vanderbilt is pretty much just all defense.
Yeah.
What's his name? I forgot his name. Rui Hachimura depends on the game.
Depends on the game.
But they definitely size should be. But like their number one goal should be size.
Size. Yep.
I think they do have enough shooting, especially if they can get Dalton connect some more minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think the whole this rookie season, it can go up and down.
Yeah,
and rookies rarely have success with LeBron anyway.
I think the trade kind of messed him up a little bit in terms of like I was gonna go and then I'm back and then my minutes just get absolutely axed when I get back.
Right.
So that said, Dalton Connect getting more minutes would probably help, but at the end of the day, their focus should be they've got a roster. I don't think you don't become a third seed in a very competitive West without having a roster. So now it's just about we got to focus on him, Luka.
Now I will say this though, as a Mavericks fan,
you a little happy?
I'm a little happy.
Yeah, of course he would be.
Because, and I've told people this time and time again. In basketball is one of the hardest sports for people to differentiate the difference between a player that's fun and cool to watch and a player that can actually win a championship with.
100%.
It's hard.
Well, because that's the other part. I didn't realize Luka's 27.
I mean, he should technically be in his prime.
He should be in his prime, but like you now you only got how many years you don't know, especially with his current injury history.
I mean, I think he got years, but I just don't think I'm mainly talking about his attitude to the game.
Gotcha.
And the way he plays the game. Like, there are guys in the history of basketball to me who, like, I don't care. There's no scenario where I think they win a title. Reggie Miller to me fits that category. Yeah. Where, you know what? I don't care. There's no perfect world where your team breaks through.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think probably James Harden is probably on that list now, unfortunately.
Yeah. Chris Paul.
Damian Lillard. No, because I think Chris Paul, because he's a point guard. True. You know what I'm saying? I never saw Chris Paul. Now, if he's your best player, you're not winning.
Right.
You know, but also because point guard, in the history of basketball, there's only been 2 point guard led teams to win titles: Isaiah Thomas and Steph Curry.
Yeah. Right.
So you're talking your point guard has to be a top 20 player of all time.
Right.
If he ain't that. That's why I don't believe in the Knicks with Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
Like, I just unless you tell me that they win it Detroit 04 style, where it's like by committee, cool. But if you're telling me you're leading the way because he's the guy and we're gonna live and die with him, I'm not rolling. But yeah, the Luka thing is tricky because yes, you can do what we did.
Yeah.
But we got buzzsawed in the finals.
True.
So you can do that, but just know you can get to the finals. But if you just want to get there, that's fine. But last time I checked, that's not the Lakers aren't that organization. No, they're not. We're not done. The Lakers are like the Yankees of the NBA.
Right. We win. We're supposed to win these.
We're supposed to get here and win.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So Luka got to change. There's so much he has to change. There's so much about to change.
He's got to be an MVP shape. 100%. And he's got to be in that conversation all year. He's got to be like number 1, number 2. How we were discussing SGA and Joker this year, you got to be in that category.
And I thought about this. You know what's funny? A lot of the foreign players that come over here and they say, you know, the NBA is easier, this is easier. And I thought about this. Most of them aren't great defenders.
Don't.
Some are. Right? In the history of the game, Karolinko was a great defender. You know what I mean? I'm not saying everybody. But a lot of them are barbecue chicken.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a lot of them, when it comes to like the fitness aspect of the game, name me one overseas player. White.
I was to say white. Yeah.
White.
Spotify level white.
Yeah. Because we
got Giannis.
Yeah,
we got Giannis.
Serge Ibaka. Yeah. You know, there's been some dudes, but think about it. Jokic ain't no bodybuilder.
Joker don't look hot. Never looked.
Yeah, Dirk
chisel.
never did.
Maybe Pau Gasol.
No, he was skinny.
He's skinny, but
his brother was big.
His brother, but I said in terms of like who actually looked like a fit basketball player for the Europeans, is probably Pau.
I would say I would probably say. I'm talking about like built. You know what I mean? Okay. Like none of them ever to me. Maybe your best bet is probably remember. I don't know if you remember this throwback name. Remember Pekovich?
Oh yeah,
from Minnesota.
Yeah,
you know, oddly enough, I saw a story recently about him being maybe caught up like with the mob or something. Hey. And everybody's like, "Oh, we're so shocked." Like we're pretty sure the NBA was his second job. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Rubio never really looked impressive.
None of them.
Yeah.
Joe Ingles.
Yeah. Nope.
Like you can go down the list. Like Louis Scola.
Yeah.
Like even Ginobili wasn't like some, you know, like he was a shifty dude, but he wasn't like. Yeah. Like that's something that's just not.
It's not part of their culture.
Yeah, it's not. You look at how skinny Victor is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's just not how they get down. It's just, you know, Barbosa. Like just. Yeah. It's just so to me, stick at Sengun.
Facts. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sengun
can't finish around a damn rim.
Yeah.
You know. Now, oddly enough, his comrade Steven Adams, now he built.
Yeah. But he's Australian, so that's different.
Yeah.
New
Zealand.
New Zealand. Yeah.
Now they different over there.
They different.
They different. Yeah. But. And yeah, Luke, I don't think that's in his blood, man. I don't.
I agree.
I don't.
agree. And that's gonna be the hard part. Mm-hmm. If if you're the Lakers, like you have to build around Luka.
You have to.
He's clearly the best player on the team.
Right.
You bring him in for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
But building a team, like he's going to need a second superstar that's going to do a lot more than what he's going to offer you.
Your second superstar, you almost have to find a Scottie Pippen-ish guy. Honestly, one of them dudes for Boston would be perfect.
100%, yeah.
Either one of them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you can get one of the Jays,
one of the Jays,
as his second kind of fiddle, that would be perfect. That was exactly what the doctor would have ordered.
Yep.
Another still high level,
yeah,
but can do the other stuff you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To kind of balance off him just saying F it, defense, you know what I'm saying? But even that's still a problem because you can't just say F it at his. You gotta at least try, bro.
At some point, defensively, dog, you gotta lock in.
Yeah.
You gotta lock in.
Yeah.
Like I don't need high effort, but I need you to just know what's happening out there and be able to deter people. Because it happens every series with him. They just start hunting you.
Yeah,
it's just you they're hunting, and that's a problem.
And where's the pride, man?
Yeah.
At some point, you're not ashamed. You don't like want to like. He should be hopping in. He should feel disgusted with himself.
Yeah.
He should go home and be like, damn, like he should be watching clips like, damn, like. I'll be honest with you. If I'm JJ Redick, but see, I was if I was JJ Redick, what I would do is. Like, I would be coach him harder and like be not afraid to like show his deficiencies to the whole team.
Yeah. But
I also thought about this because somebody mentioned this in the comment section. I forgot it was on Twitter or YouTube, and they were like, the only issue the Lakers might run into is the fact that he didn't want to be there. Yeah. He got traded for it.
I know.
So there's a world where he pulls a Dwight Howard. Remember Dwight Howard when he went to the Lakers?
Yep.
There's a world where he goes, or Jimmy Butler when he from Philly.
Yeah.
Or even Kawhi in Toronto where he goes, I technically was sent here. I didn't really ask to become here. Now I definitely want to leave last place I was at. Yeah. For sure. But I didn't want to be here though.
Right.
So I'm here for, you know what I mean?
I'm kind of here for the contract, and when free agency
good time, not a long time.
I kind of don't care what you offer me because I don't want to. I don't want to be here either. I want to
be here. So they definitely got to be a little bit careful with gauging.
Well, they have to show that we want you here. We want you to be this number one star here. Mm-hmm. That's the Lakers have to show him.
Right.
We want you here, and hopefully that wins him over.
So they can't just. I said it because JJ to me. I feel like JJ, based on the stuff I've seen from him and all that, and just following him pretty much since he's been at Duke, like he wouldn't mind putting his foot in Luka's ass. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But like, I don't know how Luka was coached by Jason Kidd. I don't know how he responds to something like that. I'm not sure. Yeah. You know, because there were rumors that he was. Like one of the things they said, Nico Harris got annoyed with him. You know what I mean? So I don't know if he responds for that type of stuff. And again, if he doesn't, and you're not going to get what we just described out of him, then it may not be worth it to build around him. That's true. It may be worth it to just flip him for another guy that you can that's willing to do that kind of stuff. Because again, if the goal is to win a championship and you're Los Angeles Lakers, and we already established that he's not you can't win that type of style, then what's the point?
That's true. That's
true.
You know
what I'm saying? So they got a lot of stuff to think about, but obviously, step one, get a big.
Yeah, get a big. Flipping to the other LA team.
Mm-hmm. The Clippers.
Clips. Yep.
Clip, gonna clip.
Yep.
The Clippers are going to clip. You got you finally get Kawhi healthy for a playoff series.
Yep.
Right? You get the best James Harden has looked in a couple of years.
Yep.
You get Norman Powell, who's almost an all-star. This is the best version of Zubac you've ever gotten. You head coached by Ty Lue, who was undefeated in Game 7, is going into this Game 7. You're going to get a Nuggets team with the Helter Skelter Russ.
Yeah.
With their coach for the season is gone.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
A no-show Michael Porter Jr.
No-show Michael Porter Jr. A piss-poor bench outside of Russ. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have all of this going in your favor, going to a Game 7. You have technically on paper the better team.
100%.
You have defense.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
You got a Jokic stopper.
Right. And that's not a thing.
That's not a thing. Yeah, but he was doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, but that's not a thing.
True.
You know what I mean? I want people. There's no such thing as first in the history of basketball. Anybody who ever deemed themselves a stopper technically didn't stop shit. You know what I'm saying? Ruben Patterson called himself the Kobe stopper.
Yeah,
you know, like,
didn't really stop.
You're right. You know, like come on. You know, I forgot that was somebody who nicknamed the Jordan stopper. I forgot his name now. But
I know who you're talking about.
But obviously, Zubac's not the Jokic stopper. But they lost.
Yep.
Embarrassingly, kind of.
Blown out.
You know, your thoughts on the Clippers?
It was probably time to give it up a while ago. Unfortunately,
that's what. What do you mean a while ago? What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
I kind of have tempered my expectations of Kawhi Leonard because we also had him healthy in the bubble, and they still lost there too.
Right.
So this is more of a.
Well, remember they said they didn't want to be there. That's why they lost. That's what they said.
Okay.
Apparently they wanted to be there when he was up 3-1.
Yeah.
And then they
like I said,
and then they stopped wanting to be there after the thing up to 3-1.
They can say that.
Right.
But
mid-series they was like, I'm good.
They can say that, but the results speak for themselves.
Right.
We had you healthy both times, and we haven't advanced both times. Mm-hmm. So maybe the guy that we thought you were, maybe those injuries have just kind of taken their toll on the Kawhi that we think is there.
Right.
That guy's gone. If that's the case, what are we doing? Mm-hmm. If we're not going to get the Kawhi that's going to carry us like he did Toronto, what are we doing?
And the crazy thing about it is this team is similar in Toronto in that their roster is nice.
Yeah.
Like there is a world where you swap out Kawhi or James for anybody other. Let's say we keep James, swap out Kawhi. You insert Steph. They're probably advancing.
Yep.
You insert I'm trying to think. Anthony Edwards. They're
Donovan Mitchell.
Shea. They're advancing.
Yeah.
And the thing about this, we need to have this conversation about Kawhi. Outside of that 2019 run, right? When has he ever been like a guy who delivered? Remember, he missed those clutch free throws.
Yep.
When he was with the Spurs.
Yep.
That could have helped them knock out the Heat that one time. That, the Heat came back and beat them. Obviously, he's choked 3-1.
Yep.
He didn't play well yesterday. So he has a history of also not playing well in big moments either.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Outside of
the Toronto run, he's really not that. Like that's an outlier season. Like we have to start thinking about.
Well, and I'm talking about as far as being clutch in the playoffs.
Yeah,
he's had great seasons. Don't get it twisted.
True.
He's had good postseasons, very efficient postseasons, lethal postseasons. But as far as like yesterday, Kawhi gonna come in and drop 35 on Denver's head, and we go into the next round. There's not enough proof that that's just something he does all the time.
Yeah.
Like that could have just been like an out-of-body experience he had.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like some guys sometimes just have an out-of-body experience where they just go crazy.
Yeah, it was a
you know what I mean?
State.
Yeah, like they just like, all right, they hit a path to nirvana. You know what I'm saying?
Open the third eye.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And like I don't think that's something that's just in him, and I think we got to stop thinking about that. I think the Clippers right now have two guys who are. You don't know what you're getting in tight situations.
Yep.
You have no idea. You know what you're getting probably
throughout the regular season and through a regular playoff run where things aren't tight.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Yes.
But when you get to that game 7, it gets dicey.
Yes. Or just close down the stretch, it gets dicey. So I think the Clippers, you got to ask yourself, well, damn, like if we can't beat this version of Denver, who I think their season will end in the next round.
Yep.
Then what are we?
Yeah.
Like, what is this team?
Well, you're mediocre. That's what you are.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, you're a mediocre basketball team. You're not good enough to win, but you're not bad enough to get picks.
Right.
So, what's your decision?
And the tough part about it is they just built a new, nice Intuit Dome.
Yep.
So they may have to be okay with just filling out a 48 to 49, 50-some win team.
Yep.
Because hey, we open this dome, somebody got to.
Fans got to pay for this.
Yeah.
So they got to pay for this.
Right. So they may have to be okay with for a while, and they got to eat the contract.
Yeah.
They paid Kawhi.
Yep.
They paid James Harden. So they may have to just
thug it out.
It out. And maybe because I don't know, you're not flipping them for nobody that's no team's gonna take it. They too old.
No.
So I think this is it for the Clippers. I think this is this team either have to just figure it out at some point and get over those playoff demons and break the Clipper curse, or they're gonna be tanking.
Taking very soon. Taking for the next big guy.
Yeah, and if 3-4 years from now, they're gonna be picking in the top 10 at the NBA draft. They just kind of see where their future is. But I still can't believe they went out like that.
Yeah, that's sad. Yeah, you hate when you go out on a blowout.
Yeah,
you just want to see like some fight.
The Bucks.
Yeah.
The Bucks season came to an end.
They went out with some fight.
Yeah, literally. They were up, so they were up by 7 with 40-some seconds to left, and they lost the game.
Yep.
And I looked at the game. I was trying to look at the game because I was trying to see if Reggie Miller was on the court somewhere, or if it was
like who hexed him.
Yeah, So I'm like 40 seconds. That's what Reggie Miller did to the Knicks.
Yeah.
So I had to make sure I wasn't watching some old version.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's not grainy or anything.
Yeah.
No, this is 2025 clarity.
Yeah, I didn't see Spike anywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was I didn't see Patrick Ewing or Starks.
Yep.
This Pacers. It was this version. It was Tyrese Halliburton and the crew. Gary Trent Jr. had a great game. They're not in the game because of him, and it sucks when you could have been the hero, and then you play long enough in the game to see yourself become the villain.
Yeah, that's always that's the Russ story,
right? Except he's cool with it.
Yeah,
y'all gotta be okay with it. I'm cool with how I play. Y'all do it now. And the thing about the Bucks is you win the title in 2021.
Yep.
And since then, you fired that coach. You trade Chris Middleton. You trade Jrue
Holiday. Made all the wrong moves.
PJ Tucker's gone. A lot of those guys from that team is gone. Brandon Jennings isn't on the sideline anymore. He's Gil's arena. You know what I mean? So even your biggest cheerleader is not there. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's just Giannis' brother wasn't even there. You know what I'm saying? So you just got one after the Kumpo. No, we have two. That throws us off.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
We all of them.
Right.
Yeah.
You need all of them. So I don't know what the hell they do for me. They're coached by Doc.
Yeah. That was your 10th mistake.
Yeah. They doubled down on the mistake. Yeah. And they're out of moves.
They're out of moves. They're not
out of, but there's one more move they can make. But it's the nuclear, the red button.
It's the red button, and unfortunately it might get pulled. Yeah. Because you can't keep going like this. Unfortunately. Your roster is too old. Brook Lopez is probably gone this year. Bobby Portis, who knows?
Right.
Like the rest of those championship guys will be gone soon.
They're already gone.
But Brook Lopez is still there.
Yeah, he's still there. Pat Connaughton's still there. But
so the rest of that championship.
Some of the dudes who mattered that were there,
true.
You know what I mean? Like the guys who actually were on the court when we won for or hardcore, they're gone.
They're gone. Yeah. But. I don't know what they do either. That's a tough one.
I think it's a Giannis decision.
It's going to be his decision because he'll probably have to ask. He'll initiate the ask for the trade because there's no way the Bucks are just offering him up.
So okay, I thought about this. If you're Giannis, right? Because they traded for Dame.
Yep.
And obviously Dame, he's gonna be out pretty much next season with the Achilles. It wasn't like it was for a lack of trying.
It wasn't. No, it's just that
like they tried to make moves and it just
they tried to make moves, but they also waited to make some moves. Like I said, you and I pretty much said it. Like 2 years after they won the chip, like Chris Middleton got to go.
Yeah,
and they waited too late, so they couldn't maximize what that trade value could be.
Mm-hmm.
When Boston was vacillating on trading the Jays, should have hopped on that as fast as possible. Like I'm not even gonna let you think about not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm grabbing one of them.
Right.
And that's where I think they just missed on the big moves. I think the smaller moves were the smaller moves. Probably should have fired Bud earlier. And even if you won the chip, just go ahead and let him go because we still don't believe in you.
Right.
So I think that they got complacent. They won the chip and they just got complacent.
See, I don't think. Okay, so I disagree. I don't think they got complacent. I just think they got
paralyzed.
No. They got because remember complacent means you do nothing.
True.
They did a bunch of shit. You know what I'm saying?
True.
And I think what happened was they won, right? And they tried to run it back.
Yeah.
And remember, I keep telling people always bring up, man, they should never trade Drew. They should never trade Drew.
Drew was not playing well.
They got knocked out in the first round his last time playing.
Yeah, Jimmy cooked him.
They lost
Jimmy
to
was cooking him.
the Heat playing Heat or whatever.
Yeah, Jimmy cooked Drew Holiday. Cooked him.
And people forget, if Drew Holiday was on this team right now, he would be right now he's the fifth option on that Celtics team.
Yeah.
He will be immediately elevated to number 2.
Yeah. And he's not built for that.
He's not built for that.
Yeah.
They will be still going home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The Drew one I understood completely.
Yeah. So to me, it's like I just think that like any team, after you win a title, you make moves, you do your best, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
We saw what happened with the Rockets after King won in '95. They made moves, right? They brought in Charles Barkley, didn't work. They brought in Scottie Pippen in '99 for the lockout shortened season. It didn't work.
Yep.
At some point, I think that you try, you're just out of moves.
Yeah.
And now it's on Giannis to ask yourself one question.
Don't want to be here for life.
Right. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Do I want to? Do I Do I want to just finish my career playing for one team, playing for the Bucks, and just being here and just because like Steph? Because I don't think there's a world where Steph ever asks the Warriors for a trade. I think he just tries his best, trusts the organization, work with what they got, what they bring in.
And when I don't love basketball anymore, I'm
out. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think he would ever ask for a trade. I think Giannis got to ask himself, you know, am I okay with like starting? Do I have another like? Should I tell the team, hey man, look, I'm not gonna ask for a trade. If you choose to trade me because you think I'm your only option, I understand, but I'm not gonna ask for a trade. If you want to start this whole team, burn it to the ground, get rid of everybody, cool. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll work with what you bring. You know what I'm saying? But it's really his decision.
Yeah.
You know, do you want to retire a Buck or not? You want to?
That's it.
Then just know what's in store for you. But if not, then obviously because there are teams that are going to want him.
Yep.
There are a lot of teams who are like, all right, we're ready to go. We're prime.
We got the cash ready on hand.
Yeah. We got the player. We got the like you said. We got the players to trade. We got packages, stuff like that. We're ready to go. The question is if is he ready to go?
Yep.
What else has been eliminated? I'm trying to think. That's worth it.
Detroit.
Good season for them.
Yeah.
I'm not mad. Like I know they lost to the Knicks. But Detroit's biggest problem is they know how to goddamn close the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. like they just could not figure out how to close the game. But you hit Cade Cunningham.
Yep.
Is who we thought he was. Yep. I'm so glad he didn't win Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, most improved though, because he was Bro's number one pick.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
And if you're Detroit, you are missing Jaden Ivey.
Yeah.
So who knows what you look like with your actual
starting five.
Starting five would look like. Stewart wasn't able to play in the playoffs.
Yep.
So let's see what that looks like. I would actually run it back.
I would 100% just run that team back. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
You hit on the veterans you brought in.
Yep.
This.
Yeah, Tim Hardaway Jr. was balling.
He was balling. Malik Beasley was balling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even Tobias Harris was balling.
Yeah.
You know what? It's nice when it's easy to root for players when they're not miscasted.
Yeah.
So Tobias Harris couldn't stand his ass on the Sixers.
Yeah.
You making that much money and you can't. Come on, dog.
Can't score.
But now on Detroit, I like him.
Yeah.
I'm not mad because he's not. The role's different.
Yep.
But Detroit, you can't be mad at. And people say, people are like, man, it's nice to see Detroit back in the playoffs. And first I was like, man, what? Because I guess my memory takes me back to
2004.
No, just when I was growing up, they made the playoffs all the time.
Right.
So for me, it's like, what are y'all talking about? Like,
yeah, it's not been that long. For us, it's not been that long.
I guess as far as them being competitive, they did make it with Blake Griffin, but they got bounced.
Yeah. But they also they were relatively competitive up until the teens, really.
No, they blew that team up in 2009.
Okay.
So I think the 2008 offseason or 2009 because Chauncey Billups got traded to the Nuggets.
That's right.
Shortly thereafter, like a year or two after, Ben Wallace had left a couple years prior. He went to the Bulls.
Yep.
After a couple years after that, Richard Hamilton go to the Bulls.
Yep.
And y'all just getting all that fucking leftovers.
Yeah, we were.
Tayshaun would eventually go to the Grizzlies when they went to West Conference Finals.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, they were yeah. So they've been removed. Remember the Andre Drummond era didn't really produce much. The Reggie Jackson era didn't produce much. So we are a ways away from them having consistent success. Again, they did make it with Blake Griffin, but this feels more like they can actually
do something
on a continuous basis.
Yeah.
And again, this is what happens when you get the right coach in the building.
Yep.
Because remember, Monty Williams was there last year.
Yeah, he was phoning it in.
For the paycheck, right? Yep. And when you get a coach that actually cares about coaching and developing, this is what you get.
Yep.
So I am happy for Detroit. I'm just happy for new teams.
I am too.
You know what I'm saying?
I am too. I was happy to see, even though Orlando didn't advance, I was happy to see Orlando out there. Paolo Banchero.
They get New Jerseys.
They are
getting New Jerseys.
Okay. Okay. But I was happy to see them. They still need a lot because it can't just be the Banchero, Franz Wagner squad.
They need an actual point guard, bro.
They do. They do.
A true point. Dude, I was surprised. A lot of teams, as teams get more away from as we start to realize that having your lead guard be your leading scorer, as we start to get away from that notion, a lot of teams are getting more balanced, well-rounded.
Yeah,
you need an actual showrunner.
Yep.
And I don't realize how many teams lack actual showrunners. I don't even know if they exist. You know what I mean? Because of the way basketball being played in the last 20-some years.
That archetype kind of went away.
Yeah.
And it's going to have to be brought back if your wings and backcourt are going to be your primary scorers. You have to get the traditional or front court. Yeah. You have to get a traditional point guard back.
Yeah.
If the wings are going to be where you're generating offense from, or that guy or the wing is going to have to learn how to play make.
Right.
One of the two.
or you got to build like a triangle type of offense where like it's just like you know what I mean? It's not like built on one central figure type of thing. You know what I mean? But yeah, a lot of teams needed an actual point guard. Detroit was one.
Yep.
Not Detroit. I'm sorry, they got Kate. But I mean Orlando was one.
Houston
won. If Darius Garland doesn't come back, we're gonna see his impact in this series. You know what I mean? Because they lack it because Indiana got one with Halliburton and they missing theirs, right? And you're trying to get playmaker from Ty Jerome and Donovan Mitchell, ain't gonna cut it.
No,
you know what I'm saying? No. So, but I'm definitely excited for just seeing new teams have success,
and the fact that there's even the older teams like the Celtics, there's a bunch of new faces,
right?
New young guys finally rising up, and hopefully Ant can go ahead and just dead that
finish
final.
The final.
Go ahead and just finish this off.
The final relic.
Yeah. You already got one. Yeah. You got one last year. You got LeBron.
Yeah.
This year, go ahead and kill Steph, and it's a wrap.
Right.
We're good. I saw the young guys now.
Yeah.
Young men up.
I'm excited to see what the second round can bring. Again, the physicality has just been
off the chart.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is nice.
It's the perfect blend of physicality without all the BS.
Yeah.
It's like everyone's kind of on the same page. Like, all right, I get it. As long as you don't foul me hard, we're good.
They must have been told that, bro.
Yeah.
They must have been told, hey, let him play.
Yeah.
Like unless it's just like clothesline,
right?
Right. Like unless somebody comes out hits somebody up the head with the chair, chair.
Honestly,
you know what I'm saying?
When the Celtics were playing Orlando and old boy came down on Porzingis and bloodied his forehead, I was like, dang, wow.
Yeah. Did he call for a foul?
He did. He did. He had to come out. He had to get a Band-Aid because there's blood all still in his hair.
Damn.
He had to go shoot his shot.
Stone Cold that
name? Yeah.
Did he?
Had to wash the blood out.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
No holds barred.
No holds barred.
I don't mind a no holds barred playoffs.
It's been really good because the offense hasn't slowed down.
Right.
Guys are still scoring.
Mm-hmm.
It's just more physical.
Yeah,
that's it.
Just pump up the volume. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. I don't mind turning it up.
Yeah.
Before we head out of here, obviously, news came out this week about Gregg Popovich.
Yes.
The great Gregg Popovich. Is stepping down, stepping up. I don't know how you want to describe it.
Yeah, moving on.
Because he gonna be the president or something like that.
President, basically a Pat Riley.
Yeah, so like, I don't consider that a step down. Like,
no,
that's just one. You want move from the owner. Like fans almost completely.
I just gave up this position to take another position.
Yeah, Brad Stevens style.
Yeah.
Like I love when he said, because people treat it like it's demoted, but it's not.
It's not. Yeah, he's just not coaching anymore.
Yeah.
He's still he's heavily involved in basketball still.
Right. I pick the coaches, I pick the players. I have more power now. I just don't have to do all the traveling, all the other crap.
I don't go to traveling. I don't got to worry about development.
Yeah.
Like, that's somebody else's job.
Yeah.
Now. But I get to make even more important decisions.
What do you think is his legacy?
His legacy is the modern NBA.
Okay.
I think how we see how the NBA operates right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's his legacy. I think he deaded the Big Three.
You think he deaded it?
I think he was a part of deading the Big Three era.
How?
Because all of his coaches have gone on and brought his style into the rest of the NBA. Mm-hmm. A lot of the coaches that we see in the league right now came from under his tutelage.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how he deaded the Big Three. It's like coaches are just like, my coaches don't do the Big Three. We got teams.
Okay, I thought you were gonna go a different way with that. I thought you were gonna go with more of like, because he started load management. I thought you were gonna go that route.
Okay.
He was one of the first teams to embrace space and shooting. Right.
Yeah.
Remember they tore apart the Heat.
Yeah.
In that 2014 playoffs because of their shooting. Right.
Yeah.
Like, he was one of the first coaches to embrace international players.
Yep.
Right, we think about Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili. Technically, Tim Duncan's from the Virgin Islands. He played basketball at Wake Forest. I remember like growing up, like a lot of these centers. Alberto was international, and Patty Mills is international.
Yep.
Like they had a lot of
international
guys.
players. Yeah,
Bellinelli was international.
Wow, yeah.
What was the center they had? Splitter.
Oh my God, Tiago Splitter.
Splitter was international. Like he was one of the first. He was on that.
Yeah,
he's one of the first coaches that was really on that, like on that international tip, man. So he definitely brought a new wave to the game. I also think that his sideline. I still growing up remember his sideline interactions with the late great Craig Sager. Yeah, he's one of the great like interviews and all that.
Yeah,
he was also one of the great like guys who Steve Kerr's kind of taking on this mantle that would like take on challenges, take up for the league.
Yeah,
not be afraid to speak out when it comes to like things that's happening in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like he was one of the first coaches to really go out and just not be afraid. Probably because of his stature in the league.
Probably because, but I think he also, to his credit, I think he understood that I'm probably the only one who won't get a lot of pushback. If my players do it, they're gonna get a ton of pushback. Mm-hmm. So it has to be me who does this because I can take that blow and it won't affect me as much.
Right.
And that's to his credit, I believe.
But I also think that I'm so curious about his legacy because we also saw, right, fair or not, what he looked like without
he's great
superstar.
Yeah.
And it wasn't pretty.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. The DeRozan, LaMarcus Aldridge lineups, not great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and again, I think part of coaching is making lemonade from dirt sometimes. Like sometimes some coaches have had less and made more.
Yeah.
So sometimes I am curious about Popovich because we saw what his team looked like when Dave Robinson got hurt, and that's how they got Tim Duncan.
Yep.
So like, part of me is like people consider him the greatest coach of all time, and I'm not gonna fight you on that. If you think he's the greatest coach of all time, fair enough, right? It's a short list.
It's a short list. Yeah, him.
Phil Jackson, Pat Riley.
Yeah.
You can throw Steve Kerr in there now.
Yep.
You can throw Eric Spoelstra in there. You throw Red Auerbach in there. Yep. It's a short list.
What's
you know
his
what I'm
name?
saying?
Steven Silas. Not Steven Silas. No. Former Cavs coach. In the 90s.
In the 90s?
In the 90s. Yeah. Because he coached at all levels, and he was a winner up until he got to it was 80s going into 90s.
You're not talking about Lenny Wilkins, are you?
Lenny Wilkins, yeah.
Are you talking about Lenny Wilkins?
I'm pretty sure I'm thinking of Lenny Wilkins.
Okay.
People have him as one.
Well, he never won a title, but yeah, I think he's one of the winningest coaches of all time.
Yeah.
But Gregg Popovich definitely one or two. You know what I mean? You can. I have no problem with fighting him on that. Yeah. But I'm just curious what he would look like if he didn't have that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, because we've seen like one thing you said about Pat Riley, he won with 3 different teams.
Yep.
He won with the Showtime Lakers. Then he had a completely different type of roster with the Knicks.
Yep.
Then had a different type of roster with the Heat.
Yep.
I'm talking about the early Heat with Alonzo Mourning, Hardaway, Dan Marley Heat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then he won the title with D Wade and Shaq.
Yep.
Like that shows me you can win in different types of ways. You see what Eric Spoelstra been doing this last decade?
Yeah.
Just figuring it out. You know what I'm saying? So like that's the thing with Pop is I wished once he could have won. Just make the playoffs with just one of these teams you've had.
Yeah.
Like if he could have got one of DeMar DeRozan teams to the playoffs, I'd be like, all right.
Yep. You're good. You're good. Yeah.
I see it now. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that he didn't, I'm like, it makes it tough for me to evaluate him. It just makes it hard for me to evaluate him as a coach.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But again, sometimes coaching isn't about that.
The X and O's, yeah.
Right.
Because sometimes, like I said, we've seen Spoelstra do it.
Yeah.
But who knows if Spoelstra gets like a bunch of superstars, will he be able to take on that challenge?
Right.
Because it is different.
I mean, he did it.
He did, yeah.
But I'm just saying,
but he also had Pat Riley vouching for him, pretty much saying, "Shut the fuck up, LeBron. This is my coach."
I'm just saying because I feel like Bill Belichick, they gets held against him. Like we didn't win without Tom Brady. I think it should be used against Popovich. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, he didn't win a damn thing.
Yeah, till
without the guy, the Hall of Famer. He didn't win anything. Nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like you lost David Robinson. You had to win over our pick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You lost Kawhi. You never made the playoffs. Literally, he never made the playoffs again. Think about that. Like he hasn't pre-COVID. You know how long removed are from that? Like that's been that long since. So it just goes to show you.
Probably would have made it this year had literally not got hurt.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't think so. They weren't. But they weren't in the top. They weren't. I don't think so. I don't think they make it. I don't.
Maybe you're right. Yeah.
I don't think they make it.
Yeah.
So.
Right,
and that's with Victor's healthy the whole season. I still don't think they make it. But still, he's still nonetheless one of the greatest coaches and one of the greatest people we've seen. As far as what he gave to the game, what he spoke about the game, not being afraid to speak up about stuff like that. So, shout out to Gregg Popovich and all that.
Happy retirement. Retirement.
Right. Bro getting paid more.
Yeah.
Anyway, man, that's all the time we have for you guys today, man. You can follow me at Facebook at Bryce Oden. Follow me on Instagram at Bryce David Oden. Bryce Glenn Tell.
From my Twitter, Bruce Leroy.
And remember, you didn't hear from the horse's mouth unless the ass told you we out. Peace.